What's up, guys? Drone B here, and it's time to continue the top 5 gear piece series. For this episode and video, we'll be looking at body armor. And one thing I noticed when looking at the Final Fantasy body armor is it's very situational compared to the other gear pieces. I noticed a lot of the helmets, it seemed like they all had a lot more similar. There wasn't as much variance in the different kinds of stats on a lot of the other gear pieces, but for some reason body armor there's a lot of variance, so that means there's a lot of pros and cons to each gear and when you'd use each gear. But yeah, let's jump right into this, guys. Number 5 on my list is the Archaeans Curse, and if we look at the stats here, they're pretty like, this is just good general all-purpose gear. You got 184% troop attack bonus, 103% troop HP bonus. You got the 50% attack resistance, and and those three are all nice because they're going to apply to all your troops. All your mercenary troops, all your non-mercenary troops, your warriors, cavalry, everything. It's just good general all-purpose gear. You got decent attack, decent HP, and you got that attack resistance, so you're debuffing the enemy's troops as well. And then the icing on the cake is the trap HP and the trap attack. And this gear, it might be the best gear for you for defending purposes. If you're anything like me and you've got T5 but there's T6 and T7 in the realm, this gear is especially good because at 544% trap HP, one thing I've noticed is your traps are a good insulator in between your guardians and death. I've seen that so many battle reports where people get attacked and their guardians all die because they don't go to the hospital, because all their traps die and then more troops die and their hospital ward fills up with the other troops and their guardians just get thrown out to death. So if you get that 544% trap HP, there's a little bit more insulation between your guardians being wounded, and it could be the difference between your guardians being wounded and your guardians dying, is basically what I'm trying to say, because it's going to make your traps survive a little bit more, so less troops will die behind your traps when your traps die. So yeah, so if you have a big hospital capacity, it's not quite as important, but all things being the same, this is just good all-purpose gear, especially for defending. You could use it on the crystal. It's going to be better than a lot of the gear out there. It's going to be better than the legendary guardian, sorry about that. It's going to be better than the legendary, the mage, the Galatian gear. It's going to be better than, a lot of the older gear. This is just pretty decent gear set for really everything, but primarily for defending. So I put it on number 5 on the list. And onward to number 4. And here we go, guys. Here's number 4 on the list. I went with the Guardian's Fortress. And you could make a case that this isn't as good as the Archaean, but I'm going to say it's better, primarily because you get that troop armor. So 602% troop armor. So that's going to apply to everything, right? That's pretty good. I'm not mad at that. You could use that for the crystal. You could use it for defending your empire. You could use it for attacking. It's going to save a lot of your troops when you attack other people. So, just good general all-purpose, yeah, just decent gear, right? And then you also get the 185% Guardian HP. So that's going to be real nice if you have a lot of Guardians, if you're holding the crystal, that kind of thing. But, it's somewhat specific. And the downsides are, it doesn't give you any attack bonus. So it's going to save your troops, and hopefully it saves more troops then your opponent loses from the difference between it not being attack. If I said that, if that makes it all sense. But I think it's pretty good. You get that 602% armor and the Guardian HP. I'm not mad at that. You could make the case that the Archaean Gear is better. It might be, especially if you're like T5-ish in a realm with T7. It might be better to have that Guardian legendary. The Archaean. But the thing is, this Guardian, it's easier to get the legendary Guardian body armor than the Archaean. Also, it's going to be cheaper, it's easier to get. I've seen it in the Moogle market. The Guardian chests are cheap. It's just generally easier to get. So, it's kind of a tie between this and the Archaean for me. It's all depending on where you're at, pretty much. Number 3 on my list is the Infernian body armor. And this is where the gear starts getting quite a bit better, in my opinion. So here we got 309% troop attack. And then this is the wild card, guys. 1040% warrior armor. That's pretty specific, right? So, you know, that 309% troop attack's nice. It's going to apply to everything. That alone probably makes it better than the Guardian and the Archaean body armor. So you know, that's why I put it at number 3. But where it's interesting is that warrior armor, 1040%. That's significant. And this gear is going to be really good if you do warrior marches to attack other people, other empires. It's going to be good if you use warriors in any of the neutral realm events like Magitek, bandits, you name it. A lot of warriors are going to survive with that 1040% armor. So yeah, that's pretty cool. If you're doing warrior rallies, it's another. This could be. You can make an argument that this is the best gear for many different purposes with that 1040% armor. Yeah, I'm not mad at that, guys. So you could put this at number 1 on the list because for many reasons. That warrior armor, it's super interesting. But I ended up putting it at number 3 because it is. You can counter that warrior. You know, if you see somebody in the crystal with the warrior armor and no guardians, then you can just go at them with mages, right? So you know, it's kind of situational. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but that 309% troop attack is good. And then if you get to use that troop armor for the warrior armor for neutral realm events and attacking people, it's definitely worthy of number 3 on my top 5 list for body armor. And number 2, guys. Now this one, it surprised me when I was looking at the body armor. I did not expect it to be that good. But look at the stats here, guys. We got the Magitek Alpha body armor. 500% troop HP, 100% attack resistance, and then you got the Mercenary Magitek HP bonus. Now, one reason I put this at number 2 on the list is 500% troop HP. That's the biggest number that I've seen at all for troop HP. That's a huge number. And that's going to apply to everything. It's going to apply to all your guardians, all your troops. Like, this is the best gear for keeping troops alive. So if you don't want your hospital to fill up, you know, that troop HP at 500% with the 100% attack resistance. Yeah, I'm not mad at that, guys. The downsides, of course, of this gear is it doesn't give you any attack bonus. So you may not want it in the crystal just because you want to buff the attacks too. I mean, if you have really good gems, you could use it. But I mean, this is another real situational gear. It's going to be primarily, it's going to be if you want to save money and have less of your troops die. Like, that's its main purpose. It's going to keep your troops alive significantly more than all the other gear. So it's real interesting. The downside too is you need tons of energized oscillators, and that means you're going to need tons of the discharged oscillator. And good luck getting that many discharged oscillators. Chances are, if you have this legendary, it's probably in the future from now, or you got it in a legendary gear piece. That, or you grind hard for the Magitek events, in every Magitek event. You know, possible too. But yeah, I put that at number 2 on the list. You know, it's kind of situational. You could leave it out of the top 5 even, depending on you know, how you view troop HP. Because the downside of troop HP is it's only going to apply to your troops that are being attacked. So like if you have guardians, your thousands or millions of troops behind the guardians aren't going to be buffed. Just your guardians will essentially, unless your guardians are eaten through, and then it will apply to your other troops. If that makes any sense, right? Because the guardians are going to be taking all the damage for the first march, or first couple of marches. As long as they're alive, they're going to be eating all the damage. So those buffs could only apply to a small amount of your troops until your guardians are eaten through. Then it'll apply to everything. So it is kind of situational. Yeah, it's pretty specific. It's very specific. Now, if you're like in this situation, like in our realm, we have 1 or 2 people with T7, and they don't even put Guardians in the crystal. Primarily because they don't need to. Like, they have, you know, so many T7 troops that you'd have to lose so many Guardians to try to take that crystal. So typically they just only have T7 in the crystal. Now this would be a really good gear to stack with just T7 troops without Guardians, because then that troop HP and attack resistance, the troop HP will apply to all your troops, right? So you know, that's a situation where this would be easily the second best gear piece. If you're stocking up a crystal with no Guardians just because you can, boom, this is the one. If you're defending your empire without Guardians, boom, this is the one. So that's why I put it number 2. Without Guardians, boom, this is the best. I keep saying boom, I think because I'm weird. Moving on, guys. So number 1 on the list is the Hydraean body armor. And now this I put at number 1 on the list because it's definitely better than the Magitek Alpha. Listen to this, guys. 218% troop attack, 341% troop HP. So it's got a little bit less, you know, 159% less troop HP than the Magitek, but it's got the 218% troop attack along with it. So those two, they stack really well. It's going to be good defending the crystal, taking the crystal, defending your empire, destroying other people's empires. It's going to be good for neutral realm events, everything. And then the icing on the cake is the 1,520% Juggernaut attack. And it's kind of hard to know how significant that is, because most people don't have that many Juggernauts. So while it's a really big number, unless you have a lot of Juggernauts, it's not going to make much difference. But if you've got like a couple hundred Juggernauts, then yeah, this gear is going to be that much better. And chances are, if you're holding a crystal, you probably have some Juggernauts in there with it. So this really just is pretty solid, pretty awesome gear. And it's easily number 1 on the list of best body armor. So that's the list, guys. Let me know what you think. I hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you guys are taking it easy. And yeah, guys, so Drone B, out.